Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here once again and happy that we are joined together on this platform to gather around the word and receive edification as we explore the matter of altars as promised tonight. Allow me to start by thanking our mother and father for their grace, their love towards all of us by creating this platform where we can share with each other their teachings, remind each other of key information that they've shared with us so that our relationship with the Lord is perfected. Also, before I go into the message, I'd like to thank the leadership of this platform. I wanted to say thank you to the leadership that organizes these gatherings for us. They spend their precious time, they are committed to the Lord's work. Their schedules are more or less like yours, but even more hectic because they are committed to ensuring that the Word of God gets to you and the community grows and thrives. So let's show our appreciation, please. The chat, please, let's clap our hands. Let's appreciate our leadership, the committee here, the treasurer, the chairman, everyone who's doing technical, people doing our nice posters that we are seeing there. Guys, we appreciate you so much and the hard work that you're doing. We honor you and we are so glad that you are leading us and doing such a great job at that. The community is growing and it's thriving because of your dedication to the work of God. So to the entire committee and all the serving members on this platform, allow me to say a big thank you. If it were not for your efforts, we would not be gathered here as well. So you play a very key role in allowing us to be present here. And your reward will be a rich reward from the Lord because you are participating in ensuring that you enable others to receive a prophet's reward by partnering with the work of the prophet. You are conducting ministry, such a powerful ministry. So thank you guys so much. The issue of altars has been going on for a month now. We are in our fourth session. And I'd like to just touch on one or two things so that we are brought to a place of better clarity, but also then maybe have a session where we open up and ask questions regarding the subject. Thank you for those that have sent through the people I've responded to. Some people's messages came later on today. They wanted some answers and clarity on matters. So I'll address those later on. But rest assured, if you send me a message and you ask me a question, I'll definitely respond. There's something else that I feel we need to move on to, God allowing and schedule permitting. Maybe I'll highlight that at the end of the week, or maybe the leadership will also then bring that up to the rest of you so that we can pivot from this subject. So we're on the issue of altars. Altars, up until this point, I think we have a fair understanding of their importance and how it is that we can be enriched, empowered, upskilled by ensuring that we live a life of erecting altars. And I'd like to commend you all for being obedient to the Word of God, to this principle, even as you've been revived to resurrect altars maybe that had now spider cobs and people had rarely visited their altars. I believe that there's now been a reawakening and people are now engaging with their altars again through a prayer lifestyle. So thank you so much for that. You've done yourself a great favor and God honors His word and you'll begin to see the results flowing in your life. Altars have a way of making an individual stand out. You cannot be a person who erects altars, who lives by altars, and you remain a non-entity that fits into the greater populace, and you don't have a separate, unique identity that is identifiable. We gave this example last week. The reason why Job went through his afflictions and trials was because he was the most outstanding person on the planet. In a meeting where God was having his sons come and report probably on certain matters, just a general gathering of spirits in heaven, Job's name came up. And the Lord said, "Have you seen my servant Job?" You can even tell by the way that the scripture was written how proud God was of Job. God was so proud of the man. He said to Satan, "So what have you been up to? Have you seen Job? This is what we call a perfect man, an upright man. He fears me and he issueth evil. My servant Job." God was so proud of Job. And Job stood out because he was a man of altars. His physical body attained perfection. He lacked nothing of physical strength because he was a man of altars. So altars have a way of making people stand out. Not only just people, countries stand out, jurisdictions stand out, marriages stand out, businesses stand out by way of the altar. So when you're erecting an altar, you're not doing it. Sometimes you have to consider you're erecting an altar for what purpose. You can erect altars and you give them names. This is for my business. This is for my marriage. This altar is for my children. Do you know, an altar is also a prophetic device. You can cover your future using altars. Children that you don't have can be covered using an altar. You start now, you raise an altar in the name of your kids. You can even spell out the number that you want. You can cover businesses you'll have in the future with an altar. So altars are so dynamic. They are multifunctional. They really are a direct source that links spiritual virtues to the physical body. And so when you begin to explore a life of living altars, you'll see yourself exhibiting strength in many facets of your life that you have engaged and sealed, concretized through altars. In the book of Genesis chapter 4 from verse 3, we learn concerning Cain and Abel. For all intents and purposes, it's our first recollection of altars being built in our Bible. These were the children of Adam and Eve. In Genesis 4 verse 3 begins like this: "In the process of time, it came to pass." But I like the NET version, which puts it this way: "At the designated time, Cain brought some of the fruit of the ground for an offering to the Lord." The NET version puts it in such a perfect way. It was a designated time. Altars are not a matter of if you erect one, but it's a matter of when. It's a lifestyle that must be started, a lifestyle that must be kept, because it is beneficial to you. So here we have these two gentlemen. They didn't erect altars haphazardly. It was a culture at the designated time, at a specific time. It was not if they would erect an altar. The matter was when they would erect an altar. So they erected an altar, Cain and Abel. And in those days, it was not difficult for members that would come before the Lord, say in a church service, to know, I've brought my offering during the church service. Has God accepted it or not? It wasn't as oblique as it may appear in our time. Cain brought his offering and they would built their altars side by side. So Cain was a tiller of the ground. He brought his fruits, erected his altar, built it. Abel does the same thing, erects his altar, builds it. Then Cain puts his fruits on the altar, and he burns the fruits upon the altar. Abel does the same thing. He was into animal husbandry, so he took part of his flock, his sheep, and he laid it before the altar. He lighted up a fire. Both men have lighted up their fires before God. They are saying, Lord, receive our altars. And in that very moment, the acceptance or denial of God of an offering was not something that you would then figure out over some days or months when you then look at your life and what's happening. No, in those days, God made it. It was so clear. You could see, because if God accepted an offering, the smoke of the burnt offering would rise up straight into heaven. But if an offering was not received, you know how it is when the smoke of a fire just starts wandering around and making the whole place cloudy. That's exactly what would happen. So Cain and Abel are there together. They are offering their offering. Cain is watching, and Abel's smoke is going straight up into the sky. Same place, same time, same day. But Cain's smoke is choking everyone up. Wow. And Cain is choking on his own smoke, which was a sign that the Lord has not received my offering. And then Cain realized, Abel has been received. I have not. You know that in terms of their birth order, Abel was the second born and Cain was the first. Maybe it became obvious to Cain in that moment that my younger brother is going to become better than me. Because the results of a life of altars is not guesswork. It was known even then that a person of altars will live a life that is superior to a person who does not live by the altar. And even if both individuals live by the altar, one whose offering has been accepted will become better than the one whose offering has not been accepted. So consumed with jealousy, not just because God accepted the offering, but because of what Cain knew would be the result of God's acceptance of Abel's offering. Cain said, I cannot stand to watch my brother become better than me. How can I be first and live a life where I'm last? If I'm the brother, am I not supposed to lead in all aspects of life and existence? How can I allow this lad to outdo me? And even God is in support of that. No way. I have to decapitate this young man. I have to destroy him. Abel being, you can see his innocence, but you can also see his naivety. Because Abel was then called after some time by Cain into the field, as if Cain wanted to have a discussion with Abel. And there, that is when Cain killed Abel in the field, where Cain was well versed with that area. Abel abandoned his sheep pens, an area that he was used to, the place where he was guaranteed protection by the Lord, his secure place where he had raised an altar. So the place of his strength, he abandoned that place and he was taken out of his right place by his brother. And then he was drawn out to the place where Cain was most comfortable. And this is a warning. Never be drawn out by the enemy to a terrain, to an area, to a place where you do not belong. There are some people that you see and they thrive when they live a life of sexual promiscuity. You look at them, they start dating a guy with money. Next thing, they're riding a Benz, baby S, C-Class. Next thing, they've been rented a flat. Next thing, these people have covenants with their false gods. Short-lived covenants. A fictitious form of a blessing that comes with sorrow. But all you are seeing is what appears to be the glitter, the privileges. You're seeing the money, you're seeing the pomp and the flair of that lifestyle. You being a child of God, you're protected by God. Your values are sealed. The day you attempt to live such a lifestyle, you get pregnant. You're wondering, come on, why me? You got out of your place of protection. Place where you've got your covering. So know where you belong. Not every place is your place. You've got places where there's heavenly support and security. Don't abandon those places. There are people who seem happy today, but they are sorrowful right now. The people who seem like they're making it today, don't be deceived. Where every girl on social media is being bought a car, everyone's being bought an iPhone 17. You're like, my guy is not even, why is my boyfriend this lame? Are you sure he's lame? Do you know what those gifts are for? Do you know what those gifts mean? Do you have any understanding of what's happening? Someone is saying sorry for infecting a partner with HIV years ago. You have no idea. Abel was drawn to the field by Cain. That's when he died. That place, such a gifted person. You wonder, should have been intervention. But what should have led first before intervention was wisdom. Know where your place is. Know your place of security. Know where you are not exposed. Know where you are safe. There's a story of a lady. She got into this car with a sugar daddy. Got into his vehicle. She was advised by her friends, come on, let's just go. His house is fun. It's got a double story, 10 kilometers out of the CBD. You'll see what we're talking about. Just come with us. When you get to that place, you'll enjoy. We have fun, we drink drinks, and sometimes the guy gives us money and his connections, because as well, he will allow you to meet some of his older friends, sugar daddies. All of us will then live a good life. But just come, make an appearance. Let him know that you're available and you want to play. Joe was a bit nervous. I don't know if I should go, guys. I'm a bit drunk. I want to go home. I shouldn't even have come here in the first place. The friend said, come on, come. Come. It's going to be fun. The girl says, she concedes. And she gets into the car. Just as they were exiting the CBD on the outskirts of the suburbs, about 5 kilometers away from that guy's house, they hit a tree. The car exploded and the girl lost her life. Innocent life lost on the spot. First day trying to be naughty. Let me just give this a chance. So be careful when you expose yourself in environments where the devil can take advantage of your presence. He can take advantage of you. Be very careful where you spend your time, how you spend your time, even what you watch. You must be careful. Because some of those practices, some of those spaces, the devil takes advantage, and then he launches his attack from there. So be so careful, because remember, child of God, you are precious before God. Your life is precious. Life is precious. You're so precious. You're so valuable. The moral of the story here is, when an altar is raised, there are no second guesses whether God approves of you or not. Like Abel, it will be clear to those that love you, even to your enemies, that you are a person who lives a life by the altar. A person who lives a life of the altar, it's not difficult to see. Do you know people can just show favor to that individual? You look at qualifications maybe that should be present, and there are none. You look at the ordinary expectations that one would think, no, maybe this guy has connections with some other people. Maybe his papers got through because he knows someone who knows someone. You know how people speak, connections are everything. If you don't have a connection, you've got nothing. Child of God, a connection via the altar is the most important connection. All these other connections come as a result of a life of living by the altar. I know you've all heard about Nimrod, the chief architect of the Tower of Babel. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, mighty hunter before the Lord. And extra biblical material that is theological in nature lets us know that Nimrod was one of the most famous kings in antiquity, leaders, because he, in essence, was the epitome of the leader of a one-world government. The book of Joshua in chapter 7, 30, 31, 32 lets us know that every nation on the planet gathered themselves unto Nimrod. They gave him offerings, and they sought and they asked and they begged to be submitted unto him, so that he may rule over him. And Nimrod ruled over the entire earth, from the Middle East. Nimrod. The book of Joshua informs us that Nimrod, the mighty hunter, his expertise were not divorced. His skill was not divorced. His ability was invariably tied to altars. His father Cush gave him the garment of Adam, the garment that God made when Adam sinned and ate of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, at which point God sewed a garment for Adam. That garment was kept through the lineage. Cush hid it away from his brothers and gave it to his son Nimrod because of the love that Cush had for Nimrod. From the age of 20, there was an official ceremony where Cush handed over this precious regalia, this item of clothing, the garment of his forefather Adam, which was believed to have supernatural powers that enabled Nimrod to have the authority that he then had over the entire planet. One man who was king over all was able to rally every nation and tongue to the land of Shinar in the Middle East to build a tower that would reach the heavens with the intention of even displacing God as God. This is Nimrod. So from the age of 20, we have historical text that lets us know that Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord, and he, Nimrod, built many altars before the Lord as he hunted. Nimrod was known as a man of altars. A man who built many, keyword, many. It was a lifestyle. He did that. He built many, many altars. And the following verse says, by that, Nimrod made himself strong. He derived his strength over his brethren from a lifestyle of erecting altars. Child of God, altars are a secret that makes one strong. You become strong by a lifestyle of erecting altars. It's surprising, though, that such a man like Nimrod, who, for all intents and purposes, he had the foremost qualification to be strong, even above his brethren. Unlike every other individual on the planet, he had the garment of Adam. And yet to Nimrod, that garment of Adam was not enough. He needed to build altars. Though the end of his life was now infamy, rebellion against God, but you have to admire the wisdom, the knowledge. This man knew that my strength is not going to be tied in my qualifications, in my academics, even in the amount of skill that I have. Skill is not enough, even connections. That's why I alluded to that. It's not enough where you have these qualifiers, qualifying things encompassing you, and you feel you are safe. You're not safe. You're not safe just because you now have an occupation. You now have a career that is paying you a good salary. That does not mean you're safe. That's not financial security. A job is not the be it and end all of financial security. Nimrod knew that I have this supernatural garment. It can do wild things. I can fight and my enemies cannot kill me. And yet he knew that was not enough. He needed an altar. And that book is clear in Joshua that he was strengthened above his brethren. By erecting altars, he strengthened himself above his brethren. And he began to rule the planet. The entire earth, kings came around him. So rulership, child of God, you want to rule a territory. You have a career path that you're looking at, and you really desire so much for God to make you an impactful being in that area. Even in ministry, some of you people, I hear you speak, I hear you talk, and I'm like to myself, there's something of God upon this young man, this young lady. There's a calling here. Even that requires that someone becomes a person of altars. Even more so when you're gifted, when you have a calling, when you're finally rising, when you're an expert. That's when you even need altars more. You are a target to the enemy. Like Job, he stood out amongst all the inhabitants of the land in the east. He was a target. If Job was never a man of erecting altars, the story of Job today would have been a different situation. The moment his wife told him to curse God and die, the man was going to curse God and die because his mental state would have been compromised. But the altar gave him mental strength. Even Solomon, we have evidence that he received mental intelligence, wisdom by the altar. Child of God, the things that you can extract and have permission to explore and to have access to because of altars will shock you. You can be smart via an altar. You can have wisdom via an altar. You can have emotional stability via an altar. Talk about diseases. First, Job's body was a no-go area, no-go zone. Then the Lord said, it's okay, it's okay. Touch his body. It's okay, go ahead. So even at the point where Job's body was touched, he remained strong. Can you see what the altar then did for him? The strength manifested in that not only was he able to pass through that bad patch, but he had better children, more wealth than he had at first. So altars are dangerous, especially when your enemies come after you. And they are really convinced that by this we are going to crush this man, this woman. People come against you and they try to sabotage your efforts. Child of God, you will see the anger of an altar. And that anger will be displayed even in the level of inspiration you will begin to get. The wisdom against your enemies, where God makes you wiser than your enemies. That was David, a man of altars. These men, they had a way of tracing their successes back to their life of living by the altar. Had it not been for that structure, that altar, oh my God, my enemies would have consumed me. But I'm wiser than my enemies. Where your enemies close, if your enemies knew that every time they attack you, because you're a person of altars, you become stronger, they wouldn't keep attacking you. They would realize that every time we attack this person, they come out better and stronger than before. If they knew that you are rising because they are attacking you, they would stop. But they don't know. That's the lack of wisdom. They keep coming after you, believing that their efforts one day are going to reap fruits. And yet you keep rising. You're never falling. You keep improving. You're never discouraged. You remain strong. Life of living by the altar. Nimrod he was able to transfer this ability of erecting altars to his descendants. In the Middle East, the issue of building altars is not just a personal affair. The governments of the Federation of the United Arab Emirates, on a national scale, has an altar building program. It's not hidden as if it's a secret. No, it's out in the open. They declare it openly. They have altars that they build, and the government even recommends and advocates and popularizes those altars. You think an altar is an ancient idea, huh? You have to really consider sometimes and think, what gives Arabs in the Middle East the tenacity to choose a desert? Of all places, you remain in a desert. You fight for the desert. You stay in the desert and you transform a desert into an oasis. Right now, you ask people from every nation and tongue, someone who's never been to Dubai, do you want to go? Everyone wants to visit Dubai. But what are you going to visit? You're going to visit the extraordinary works of the hands of a man. Who's done what? Who's changed the desert into one of the major tourist destinations on the planet. The Emirates, a desert nation, has the biggest fleet of aeroplanes, highest traffic airport on the planet. A desert. No, guys, be serious. We're talking about a desert here. But what makes those people strong? Altars, child of God. In Islam, they have what they call sadaqah. Sadaqah. It's an altar building national project. Specifically in Dubai, Their Sadaqah endowment, that charity organization, has $3 billion worth of assets. Majority of those assets are in real estate. Billionaires, millionaires, princes and sheikhs in Dubai, even the government has donated into that charity foundation land, rental properties, houses, shopping centers. They're not owned by a single individual. They're owned by that Sadaqah system, that altar system. Dubai has an altar, and that altar has properties that are not owned by any individual. They're given as an offering to their God. A $3 billion offering. Child of God, you have to wonder, why are we all clamoring to go to Dubai? Someone built an altar worth $3 billion. Do you think those guys are big by mistake? That's how much altars mean to those people. They're serious. Christian is told to build an altar of $1 and it's like it's the end of the world. You start a series where you talk about altars and numbers drop. People are not interested to come online because they think this pastor wants our money. If it's about money, a lot of Christians, they start dodging and evading. You go to Dubai. If it's about altars, that's when people gather. Prominence is not by mistake. Some of these things, God help us. God help us. God help us. God help us. Islams, they always say Christians are not serious. Do you know that it can take an entire church with 15,000 people to raise funds to buy sound equipment for the church? But to Muslims, one Muslim can build an entire mosque, furnish it, buy the land, buy the sound equipment, pay the salary for the leader of that mosque and all the accompanying staff members. One person. Yet you find Christians have to gather in their thousands. Someone has to sing a song for them every time for them to erect an altar. Christians are not serious. And some of them, when they hear money, they try and avoid by all means. Is there not a better topic? We're giving you examples here. Look at Dubai, a nation that erects altars. Sadaqah has a $3 billion endowment. They have rental properties in there. They're not owned by any individual. They're an offering to Allah. They're just run by the government administratively. And the money that they get from renting out these properties, these shopping malls, these shopping centers, they use that money to build hospitals, to build educational centers, to build schools, to provide housing for the poor and food from the rental incomes. And the type of altars they build in Islam, in the Islamic religion, they have two. They have the basic sadaqah, and then they have sadaqah, which is called the sadaqah in continuity. The basic sadaqah, they say, well, you can just maybe buy someone a shirt, you can donate clothes, you can give people food. But that donation doesn't last even into eternity. They believe of a sadaqah system of continuity where they believe in then constructing structures like hospitals, like schools, like medical facilities that then last for a lifetime. And they believe that those institutions carry the blessing that that person has even into the afterlife. So their concept of sadaqah is this. Here's the principle of sadaqah, these altars. Dubai has said they build these altars in UAE for protection against calamity, problems, troubles. Number one. Two, they build sadaqahs so that their wealth is protected. Their wealth is protected. What is it that stopped Zimbabwean leaders from knowing that when you kick out the whites, you're going to have an agricultural crisis? What stopped the leaders from knowing that? What stopped them from knowing that if we do Ondoyeminda too quickly and we take away land from people without equipping our people, without preparing our people, we would still suffer? We will suffer. What stopped the leaders from knowing that? But years ago, Dubai and the UAE realized that oil is never going to remain our main source of income. A long time ago. And they said, let's diversify into tourism. What gave them that wisdom? Two nations with their natural resources. One is protected against future calamity. The other one, it turns into a disaster. What was the difference? Strong and covenant altars with their gods. Child of God, Dubai knew that their oil was running out a long time ago. And they didn't wait for it to run out for them to figure out what to do. They started making changes. Straight away when they realized our oil will run out, they didn't wait for an announcement on the global markets that Dubai is now suffering. They didn't wait to become a third world country for them to start making changes in their economy. They did their estimations. They consulted their gods through the order, and they were told, you need a 50-year plan, 100-year plan. Move away from oil. Your reserves are becoming low. Start going into tourism. Of all things, tourism. You have to think that is not that's a spiritual idea, child of God. You don't move from oil to tourism when you're in the desert. What is there for people to see? People that have gone to Dubai, they'll tell you. There are tours where you go to Dubai and all you're seeing is just a desert. And it's so spiritual because people, they keep going and they keep getting excited by just seeing sand. Sand. People go to see sand. Child of God, altars will pull people from strange places to come and see something that is like nothing. Altars. I'm giving you this example. I want you to grab a hold of this idea. Sadaqah. Altars. In 2004, the construction of the Burj Khalifa began. Can you see that these children of Nimrod, they never forsook their father's original idea. They just modernized it. They still determined to build the tallest architectural structure on the planet, just like their father Nimrod did. 2004, Prince of Dubai decides, since we've said we want to do tourism, let's have architectural structures that attract tourists. We don't have elephants here. That would attract people. We don't have grass. We don't have waterfalls. We don't have fancy greeneries. We don't have forests. We might as well build our own attractions here. Warumi had tina option. What can we do? We let's build tourism with our hands. They began the construction in 2004. It was going well. They had creditors all over the world through different banking institutions that had given them billions of dollars for them to complete this project. Most ambitious architectural project ever embarked on planet Earth, apart from Nimrod. They said, we want to have the tallest building on the earth, and it must touch the sky. Then in 2008, the global financial crisis hit. Investors started pulling out of Dubai, selling their assets in Dubai. There was absolutely no liquidity to continue the construction of the Burj Khalifa. The construction team, the whole board, all the directors, the prince included, Sheikh Mohammed, they were at the brink of letting that project go. Yet up to that point, they had invested billions of dollars in 4 years into the ground, into the substructure of the Burj Khalifa. The devastation of having to let go of billions of dollars of an investment. And that was seemingly the only hope that was left on the ground. What else can we do? We are out of money. They looked everywhere. They knocked on every door, and creditors said, we can't give you money. We're in a global financial crisis. You go to New York, New Jersey, Chicago, different cities on the planet, Australia, the London Stock Exchange, the Beijing Stock Exchange, Tokyo, Japan. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. Inflation hit new records never seen before. Smaller, more inferior architectural projects in China, in London, in the Americas were stopped. Right now, there are ghost towns in those countries from the 2008 global crisis. Even smaller projects that could not survive the global financial crisis. October 2009. The team is saying, guys, the Burj Khalifa was just a dream. This project cannot happen. Even at the point where they felt discouraged that this project will never come to fruition. But their altar kept speaking on their behalf. Altars are like that. Even when Abel was killed by Cain, God came and said, you've killed Abel, but his voice still speaks. By his altar, Abel continued to speak, by his gift, by his offering, by his sacrifice. Even though he had lost his life, even though he had lost his hope. Child of God, do you know that you can erect an altar? You can come to a point where you are devastated. You feel like, God, this is it. And all you're able to do is to carry yourself to your bedroom and just lie in the presence of God next to your altar and say, God, I feel like giving up. And yet your altar is speaking. Times when your voice is gone, your voice is transferred into the altar. Times when you don't even have a prayer to utter, your altar can raise a king before God's throne. Altars. Sheikh Mohammed and his team said, guys, I think this is it. Burj Khalifa will never become a reality. It was a good dream. We really wanted this to work. It was going to be the first major thing that Dubai does, that the world will look at, and it will put us on the map. Our hope, guys, was so that, since we know that our oil is running out, we do something that makes sense on the global stage. We provide tourism to the nation in a way that can keep our economy moving, ensure that our finances remain stable. If anything, they grow. But there's no more hope now. In a time of hopelessness, because remember, the whole planet was under a global recession. The Prince of Dubai picked up the call, decided to call the president of Abu Dhabi just to let him know that, sir, as a city, as a state in the federation, we had a project, but I think we may have to call it quits. He picked up the phone. When the whole planet was not liquid with money, the president of Abu Dhabi, the prime minister, he gave Dubai a $10 billion loan in 2009. $10 billion. This is not $1 million. This is $1 billion. Unheard of. It was as if there was no money anywhere else. He gave Dubai $10 billion. The creditors were already knocking on the door, trying to repossess assets in Dubai. When Dubai received that $10 billion, they cleared off all their debts. And they began building again, and they finished building the Burj Khalifa. At its completion, the Burj Khalifa stands as the tallest building in the world at 828 meters, almost 1 kilometer into the sky. Today, you talk of Dubai, one thing comes to mind: Burj Khalifa. Burj Khalifa stands as the pride and joy of the United Arab Emirates. Superstars from Hollywood, everywhere around the world, they have gone to witness what can be produced by the hand of a man with no options in the middle of a desert. A man in the middle of a desert with an altar has built the most magnificent building on the planet of the earth. Altars. Altars. That money came through because they had an altar that protected them from calamity, that ensured that their wealth was protected. Sadaqah. Altars. Child of God, don't play with this idea of altars. It's so powerful. It's so potent. So today, you look at Dubai, you look at the Burj Khalifa, you must remember this story. The United Arab Emirates, its renown is because it is a country, it is a state, it is a federation that lives by the altar. Sadaqah. In honor of President of Dubai, of the United Arab Emirates, that gave Dubai that $10 billion. The Burj Khalifa was actually supposed to be called the Burj Dubai. But they had received that $10 billion from Sheikh Khalifa. And they changed the name during the official opening ceremony from Burj Dubai to Burj Khalifa in honor of Sheikh Khalifa, who gave them that $10 billion. Are you seeing something here? Honor and altars are meeting. You cannot do anything to a person who builds an altar. Even if the wind comes and blows upon and beats upon their life, that person will stand. That person will stand. Child of God, you are loved by God. When God looks at you, he sees himself. Never allow anybody to try and make you feel less valuable than you are. You are not born of the intention of man. You are birthed by the foresight and knowledge of God. Your life will be defined by the altars that you build. Learn this today. Altars define, not just people, even nations are defined by altars. Nations today, not ancient nations, today are living by altars. You are not just an individual, you are a nation. You will rise by altars as you obey the voice of the Lord. I speak this blessing over you. May you prosper in all that you do. When you touch something, may it respond to the God that you carry, the God that you are. Your power is without limit. Don't be intimidated by what you see with your eyes. Walk by faith. You shall increase continually. When your enemies think you are falling, you continue to rise. Don't be afraid, child of God. No one can bewitch you. Child of God is beyond the reach of the satanic forces of the enemy. Some grandmother somewhere, someone somewhere who has your picture somewhere, that's not effective, not against a child of God. So don't fear for your life. You're protected. I cover you. You're covered. We are covered by the anointing. This house, we are protected. You're loved. You're cherished. We'll meet again. Shalom.